There are four primary ways to deliver presentations. Memorized, where you literally memorize every word that you want to say. Scripted, where you write out what you want to say and you're reading from paper or a teleprompter. Impromptu, where you're making it up on the spot. Or extemporaneous. Extemporaneous is the style that's most often used in business communication. In this way, you don't memorize what you want to say, and you're not making it up on the spot, and you're certainly not reading from a script. Instead, you're talking to the audience. You know your material so well that you have a good sense of the main points that you want to make and what you want to say, but you don't know exactly how you're going to say it. You're talking to them. That's the way we hold conversations with people. We don't usually script out every last thing we want to say to people. We don't memorize it. So in business, you want to make sure to be one professional talking to another. By talking your information, by having an extemporaneous style, you're going to be able to project confidence and competence. Your voice is going to be able to show your audience that you know what you're talking about. To do this, you need to have enough oxygen. So you need to breathe. We need air in order to speak. You want to make sure to pause in your speaking so you can take a breath. If you get very nervous before you speak, it can be helpful to take a few breaths before you begin your presentation. And make sure that you're wearing clothes that allow you to breathe. You also want to make sure that you have an appropriate volume for the context and the space in which you're speaking. If you're talking in a smaller room to just a couple people, you're just going to have conversational tone. If you're speaking in a larger space, you're going to need for your voice to carry. You're going to need to be able to reach those corners of the room. If you're using a microphone, you're going to want to make sure that you're not holding the microphone too far away. People probably won't be able to hear you. Or too close, so you're blasting their eardrums out. But hold it about chin level and speak in a regular tone. If possible, check the room and practice with the mic first. The other thing you need to think about is pacing. You don't want to speak so quickly that people can't understand what you're saying because you're just talking too fast and it sounds like you're nervous and just trying to get through your presentation. That doesn't work. Nor do you want to speak so slowly that it's annoying. You want to speak at an appropriate level that your audience will be able to understand you. They'll be able to hear those important points that you want to emphasize, and they won't get bored listening to you. The other thing you want to work on is to be sure to eliminate fillers. Those are those ums and ahs that we use in everyday speech and fill our conversations with. In a presentation, you don't want to have them. So if you're trying to think about what to say, instead of going, instead pause. Silence is okay. Silence can be used for rhetorical effect to make a point, and silence can help you gather your thoughts very quickly and think about what you want to say next. You also want to have an appropriate pitch and tone, and this is also where you need to make sure you have oxygen. You don't want to be monotone and just talk like this so everything sounds the same. Nobody wants to listen to that. But you also don't want to sound like late night TV. For just $9.99, you too can buy 2 of these items. That sounds artificial. So you want to have energy in your voice. You want to be able to vary your pitch and your tone and go up and down as is needed for what you're saying. The other thing that you want to make sure to avoid is what's called uplift. And that happens either because you don't have enough oxygen or you're not feeling confident. And that's where sentences can end so that they all sound like questions. Our profits last year went up by 25%. Versus, our profits last year went up by 25%. The latter one doesn't end on an uplift. It doesn't sound like a question. It sounds more confident and competent. Now, of course, if you're asking a question, you're going to certainly want to have uplift in your voice. But otherwise, make sure that your sentences end as sentences and not as questions. You also want to be able to articulate and enunciate your words. You want to make sure that you have a clear ending and beginning to the words that you say, so that they don't all just tumble together and sound kind of like they're slurring together. You want to be able to speak as clearly as possible. This is particularly important in today's global world because all English is English spoken with an accent. No matter where you're from, Cincinnati or Cleveland, California, China, France, you speak English with an accent. If you speak using an assistive device, you speak English with an accent. The accent is not the problem. What's important is to make sure that your audience will be able to understand you. And to help them with that, you'll want to articulate and enunciate your words clearly. And you will also want to probably slow down your pacing so that your audience can follow what you are saying. And then finally, you want to make sure always to project that energy. Because if you don't care about what you're talking about, why should your audience? So whether you're giving the financials for the last quarter, whether you're doing a sales pitch, whether you're making a recommendation as a consultant, you want to have energy in what you're talking about to show the audience that you care about it and that they should too. And then finally, you want to make sure to practice. Record yourself and listen to your speaking. With practice, everyone can become an effective business communicator and use their voice well.